So, XDefiant's newest playtest launches tomorrow, and with it being so long since our last play session, what else changed? Today, the XDefiant team rolled out patch notes for the upcoming playable build tomorrow and let us know the important changes that are coming along with that. While it's not a ton of game-changing stuff in terms of significant, massive changes, there's enough here, I think, to warrant a discussion. The big stuff, as we've mentioned, is that of the networking and social systems being entirely overhauled, which are a bit less flashy than like new content and features, but there is some stuff definitely to note that you should know of. So as we go along, drop your thoughts on what you think of these adjustments made to the build and what we'll be seeing this weekend. If you enjoy the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more XDefiant coverage along with other FPS content. Love to have in the community, but for now, let's jump into it. So on screen, you'll be seeing screenshots of the patch notes itself with each section that we talk about, but I'm only going to touch on some of the stuff that I think is the most important of each of those. So firstly, the maps. This stuff is relatively smaller. I mean, they mentioned the bulletproof glass, bullet holes now look cooler, and general performance optimizations. The general performance optimizations is the part that I care about the most, I think. I think that XDefiant, for the most part, performed pretty well in the prior playtests, but honestly, the game, in comparison to like insane graphics and other stuff the game has to carry out in real time, it's not the most intensive game that it seems like. So to see this now optimized even further, definitely liking that. The game modes here, we saw a couple of things, but the big ones, to me at least, are the improvement of the anti-cheat protection and the escort and zone controls are now 2-round modes in standard playlists. Touching on that last mention here at this, that was one thing that I found a little odd out of the beta and the playtest that we had in September, that those were only one-side modes for those. I think I've probably mentioned it in the past, but when I did like consulting testing years ago when this game was first being developed and it wasn't really officially revealed, there was still not a whole ton on it. That was one of the big things, that it was a back and forth mode where you did have the opportunity to beat the time of the enemy team if they completed the objective or something like that. So to now see it be both-sided is definitely nice, I think, and I feel it kind of gives back to the game flow in those modes. But obviously, the improved anti-cheat protection is always a key thing with free-to-play games. Cheaters are always going to be there because, well, you just have the ability to jump back in and create a new account if you are a cheater with a free-to-play game. So to have abilities to combat that is huge. We don't have any details, probably won't get any on what those improvements are, and that's just simply for the sake of not revealing their hand to the cheat providers, but fingers crossed that is something you don't run into any of those as of this weekend. Netcode, well, just simply going to put up the netcode mentions here of this because obviously that's the big important stuff out of this update. The reason we are having this playtest in the first place, making improvements to that hit registration and the desyncing and that improved network infrastructure and framework. Obviously very important stuff, so excited to see how this plays as of tomorrow. Social, again, another big reason as to why this playtest is happening. They switched to a brand new social system infrastructure for friending, party management, chat, and more. So we'll see all of that in action, but right now there's just no real information beyond that. Audio, obviously it's great to see various sound improvements and fixes. As they stated, really too many to list, so many. The way these patch notes are written is pretty funny to me. It's just like a casual conversation with the reader, which is definitely cool, I think. But then gameplay, you had a bunch of different things across factions, weapons, attachments, devices, movement, and miscellaneous. Now the big things out of all of these are, firstly, we have a new feature with the flashbang where it's kind of an accessibility thing with it. Flashbangs obviously are that very bright flash of white normally, but the game will now offer an option where in the settings you can change the effect of that, changing it from a bright flashbang to a dark flashbang, something that just makes the screen go black so it's not as harsh on your eyes as you're looking at the monitor. Now, also with the flashbang, we do see that this will now interrupt sprint and will impart a slight movement decrease to those affected by the flashbang as well. So buffing it in terms of its ability as well. So you might want to consider running those if you don't already. Movement is some stuff that I'm sure a lot of people will like, is that they fixed an issue that caused sliding to be shorter on higher frame rates, but also the more important one, sliding and mantling are smoother, as they say now. That's something that I definitely noticed here out of the play tests prior, that it wasn't like terrible, but again, it was kind of clunky in its own right. So that's something that I'm excited to see, jumping in and checking it out for myself as of tomorrow. But again, on paper, that's just all we have at the moment. That's all we can take it at, is face value. Mechanically and the miscellaneous stuff, they said they fixed many issues where your character's hands or arms did, they say, weird stuff. And again, that is one of those things that I had noticed. If you like jumped or tried to aim down sight, sometimes your arm would kind of come way up into your viewpoint and then be intrusive into what you're seeing. So stuff like that, I'd imagine. But again, in the miscellaneous category for that reason. It's just something that would happen randomly, but probably didn't directly affect your gameplay too much. Now, they also laid out a bunch of known issues that going into this, there are going to be problems that you do see. That happens with every single game update and things alike. You see that all the time within Call of Duty. We talk about how every single update to COD, there's something that goes wrong. You can never have a perfect launch of a new season, a new content update, or something like that. So this is the same kind of thing. On screen, you'll see those things listed just as a heads up for what you may be coming in contact with tomorrow. But that's the patch notes we have going into tomorrow's playtest. Now, realistically, again, the only thing that you should know going forward beyond the patch notes is that you should be preloading the game as of right now if you have not done so already. It is something you can find on PC on Ubisoft Connect. It should be right there on the front page. PlayStation and Xbox, you're going to end up having to look for the XDefiant server test session and download the game from there. Both of those do still have that ability for XDefiant to be on your hard drive, but that is the launch version of the game that they're going to transfer into, not this specific playtest. So just know that going in that you might already have XDefiant from a prior playtest. This is not going to be that one. You can hold on to that one if you'd like. If it's not the beta, Xbox does have the ability still to see that beta, which you can get rid of that. But the regular XDefiant application, that's something you're going to end up seeing used later on down the line again for the launch of the game when that eventually comes. But that said, beyond that, the game will launch at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in the UK, and elsewhere in the world, as denoted by the graphic on screen showing you a bit more time zones if one of those three that we just mentioned doesn't cut it for you guys. But yeah, the game is just about to be playable here within the next 24 hours. We'll be playing for the weekend. So nice to see that we're going to have 48 hours as opposed to 12. I'm excited to jump back in and finally get some more gameplay here for you guys. This will be the hopefully last video using this footage that we've been using for the last 8 months or so. But yeah, anyways, that's where we're at. Just wanted to fill you guys in here ahead of the XDefiant launch as of tomorrow for the new playtest. But before we wrap everything up, make sure you check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for what I firmly believe are the best blue light glasses on the market. I've worked with these guys for 3 years now and cannot recommend them enough. They're the most lightweight, comfortable, and durable frames out there as far as I've used, and I definitely think they've helped my daily productivity. Now, full transparency, they're a bit more of an investment, but I do think that your vision's absolutely worth investing into, especially if you're like me and you're looking at a monitor, phone, or gaming for a good chunk of the day. If you guys would like to learn more, at the very least, I'd recommend checking out their website where they can better break down the science and all the specifics of their product way better than I could. But what I can personally say from experience is that I'd highly recommend their product. But if you guys would like to learn more, check the link in the description below. And if you'd like to pick something up for yourself, use code Espresso to get 10% off your entire order. But that is now what we're going to call it. So let me know your thoughts down below. You looking forward to the playtest? You're going to be taking part in it? Whatever the case, feel free to let me know. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things XDefiant coverage here going in through the weekend and beyond when the game will hopefully launch in the near future, and other FPS content I'd love to have in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.